So we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the 2020 New Majors meeting. This is the first time that we've ever done it over Zoom, but it's going to be great. So I just want to remind everyone to keep yourself on mute during the meeting. And if you have any questions, feel free to just put them in the chat and I will kind of moderate as we go along. We've got a great couple of faculty members and a student who are going to talk about a whole huge range of topics. So we can just go ahead and get started with Erica Rappaport, who is our department chair.
Well, thank you, Corey, and it's great to see all of you, or at least your names in a little black box with your names. This is one of the most fun meetings of the year, and it's kind of sad that we're all in different places and not together, but we're going to do our best, as Corey and I did at the end of last year too, to try to create lots of virtual events that still are fun and that can be, you know, we're recording them and we'll be able to share them so you can go back. That's the one advantage. So I really want to thank you all for coming to this meeting. And, you know, for all those of you who are interested in history major, and we also have the history of public policy with 2 different majors. So it's kind of exciting and unusual. So as Corey said, my name is Erica Rappaport, and I am the department chair, which is a 3-year position, and I'm going into my last year, so I'm feeling kind of relaxed because it's a lot of work. And in a way, I thought I'd let you know, it's easy to find if you can't find something. One of my jobs is to help you find the right person to talk to, find faculty, where do I do things, but typically I'll send you to Corey, who knows even more than I do. But I'm there for more than that in a way. I was thinking about what the job of the chair does, and it's really, I think I oversee all the pieces of the department and, you know, kind of make sure that it all flows, you know, sort of like a manager, making sure the faculty, grad students, undergrads, and the staff, that we all work together. So kind of, I hadn't realized how many people I would be dealing with, but that's the really fun part of the job, is that I get to know everybody on a different level. My personal background and the courses I teach, and I hope I get to meet you guys in my courses, I do European women's history, gender history, and particularly in the 19th and 20th century of Great Britain. But I've become, my whole life, I'm from Los Angeles, probably like many of you, and I was one of those teenagers that entertain myself in the mall, and essentially that's become my career because I study the history of consumer culture, of advertising, marketing, and now I'm doing a project on public relations. And in some ways it's the origins of fake news, so I've gotten really interested in that. But if you guys also spent your afternoon in the mall, you can think that you're becoming an historian to get away from it, and you can't get away from it. You know, you come back to your interests as historians, which I think is the best part of the major. Is you always find that you're able to study your own background, your interests, your, you know, passions, politics, etc. You can pretty much study anything in this major. So I think that's really, to me, one of the most fun aspects of being a history major. This year, if you're interested and you want to, the course that I'm going to be teaching is the lower division, you know, one of the 4 series, 4C, which is Modern European History Survey. And I focus on sort of the history of European imperialism and race. And we're going to be thinking a lot about fascism, which is in the news a lot right now. So if you're interested in those kinds of topics, that'll be in the spring. But I was thinking about my cat just moved my computer. I should just introduce you as well. This is a big, giant, fat cat, Lobo. I have 2 cats, but this one comes to every meeting and pushes my computer and knocks things over. And he's not getting smarter at all from his presence in all these Zoom meetings. Anyhow, I just kicked him out again. My job with the undergraduates as chair is a little bit indirect in a sense that I sort of, there's a person who's actually not on our meeting today because he's driving back from the mountains, but is our undergraduate studies, director of undergrad studies, and he deals with a lot of questions about courses, etc. But I can always, as I said, you know, I like to just be here for the fun parts of your interests, like to have you drop in and tell me what your particular interests are, what courses, kind of courses you're interested in. Like students will come to me and say, you know, I like, I don't know, the history of, I'm thinking about American presidents. I've got Trump on my mind right now. But, you know, I can tell you where you can find your interests or how you can talk to your faculty person and have them. Most of our faculty will actually shape their course to fit some of your needs. So if you say, oh, I'm particularly interested in war, and, you know, are we going to be talking about that? And they'll say, well, indirectly, but I can give you this extra material or shape a lecture. So I think that's almost every faculty in our department really tries to work with students to meet their needs and change their curriculum and not just kind of teach the same old thing year after year. So for that reason, I just love it if you are interested in coming and just chatting with me. And I was thinking of setting up, I just recently did a book on tea, so I thought maybe I'll have like virtual afternoon teas where people can just drop in, chat about their interests, tell me what they, you know, what you've done, what you haven't done, what your fears are, you know, or excitement, that sort of thing. Where you are, like last term, I taught students who were, I was teaching British history and some British students took the class, but they had to go home. So, you know, they were here on EAP, but they're actually, one was in Hong Kong and one was in Scotland. So that was kind of strange. You never know where your students are these days. So, that was fun though, because my other students started asking them about, you know, politics where they were. And so, you know, that'll be just, you know, it'd be really wonderful. I have time for that. I'll be setting up virtual office hours, and I have a link on my page and on my email too. So you can just email me, in which you can set up, you know, it'll just have office hours that you can click on and set up anytime you want to come for a one-on-one. And then I'll be, you know, emailing you guys through Corey about these kind of bigger get-togethers to help make our virtual quarter, you know, more unified, make us feel more like a community. And I guess just the last advice that I want to give you before I move this on is we've worked really hard since we've gone virtual, even though we wanted to do it before, to create a sense of community for everybody. And of course, that's harder when everyone's all over the place or working jobs and doing lots of different things. But in order to do that, I guess you have to go meet us halfway. So I would say by that, I mean, you know, come to the History Club, which you'll be learning about, and, you know, their meetings, join in a virtual talk, follow, Jarrett will talk about this. We have a pretty lively social media presence now, which we didn't used to have, but you can follow us on Twitter or Facebook, in which we just have nice posts about what students are doing and what faculty are doing, but also events that you can come to. And I would say visit our webpage quite frequently, because there's lots of really interesting things you can learn about your faculty and learn about other students and events from just, you know, coming to the history department webpage. So this is basically advice I used to get at camp, but my, you know, literally we don't go to camp anymore, but our summer camp, the director always said, you get out of camp what you put into it, which is the classic. You get out of life what you put into it. And I would say, when we're living in this virtual world, it's the same thing. We're sick of our computers. I know you probably already are, but doing that extra, visiting, you know, this virtual talks, etc., really will make a difference. And, you know, we'll make an effort so that you can meet people. And then when we're in person, you'll actually have some real friends. So I just want to, again, tell you all, I'll be really interested in meeting with you at some point over the year or in the years to come. And I'll just pass it along. So Corey, I'll get back to you. So thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Erica. So I'm up next. My name is Corey Carpenter, and I've met so many of you already, which is great. But I am the undergraduate academic advisor for the history department. So I can help you with things like tracking your progress in your major, planning your course schedule for future quarters, and I can just answer pretty much any questions you have about your major requirements. So I'm always here for that. For fall quarter, I am available for advising through email as well as by phone and Zoom. So you can visit our website, as Erica was saying, www.history.ucsb.edu. And that's where you can schedule a phone call or a Zoom appointment with me if you want. And I do plan to send out a pretty comprehensive email with more information about advising either tomorrow or Thursday to all history majors. But I do want to mention that I have just added several new pages to our website, so another good reason to visit it. And these pages are all about academic advising. So they have things like registration tips and reminders, frequently asked questions, transfer resources, instructions on how to run a progress check, all kinds of stuff. It's very comprehensive. So definitely check that out. And I will send more information through the history listserv soon. And I'm also always just available to help connect you to any campus resource that you might need help with. You know, like Erica was saying as well, especially during this time of remote learning, it's really important to stay connected to the campus community. And for all of you who are new students, you know, it's very important to, you know, just dive in and really make sure that you're, you know, utilizing all the resources that are available to you. UCSB has recently launched a new website called Keep Learning. And it's all about kind of like remote learning tips, and they have things like you know, Zoom tips and suggestions, internet access and technology help, and a bunch more. So again, that's the Keep Learning UCSB website. So definitely check that out. And as well as taking care of your remote learning needs, it's super important to stay aware of just your overall well-being, your mental health, your physical health. And so UCSB also just recently launched a really great new student well-being website. And it has information on CAPS, which is our Student Mental Health Services office. They are doing remote counseling right now, so definitely check that out. They also have information on basic needs, so like the financial crisis response team, the food insecurity support, undocumented student resources. And then they can also connect you to the health and wellness department, which does really fun events every quarter. They do like weekly meditations, they do dog therapy, which I think they're still going to be doing that remotely. I don't know how, but it should be cool. And then also on that student wellbeing website, it has information about the student health office. So if you do happen to be in Santa Barbara and you need like physical health services, you can find information about that there. But yeah, I really wanted to acknowledge that this is a super stressful time right now, and it's unlike, you know, any time that most of us have experienced before. So I really encourage you to, you know, check out these resources, stay aware of your physical and mental health, and just reach out if you need help with anything. You know, the history department, all of the staff and faculty here are, you know, really willing to support you. So please just let us know if you ever need anything. So that's all from me. And next up, we have Professor Kate McDonald, who is going to talk about the History 9 course and the research seminar.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody's names on their black screen. My name's Kate McDonald, and I routinely teach one of the History 9 courses, along with a number of my colleagues. I'm not teaching anything this year, but I'm excited to tell you about this course, which is one that we added to our major requirements, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and has proven to be one of the most exciting courses that we teach. So History 9, it's our lower division introduction to historical thinking. Unlike the rest of our lower division courses, which tend to be large lectures and involve working with TAs, the History 9 course is capped at 30 people. It doesn't check any other GE boxes. It's only really useful in terms of progress towards degree for history majors. And so it usually is a a relatively small group of people. You're working directly with a faculty member. And you're working really closely with other history majors and other history minors and people who are just really interested in the work of history. And then you're working to explore, to learn how to think like a professional historian through usually like a small topic. So for example, when I teach it, I teach about the history and memory of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. And so we look at that from a number of different angles. You know, what is it? how has that bombing been used to tell larger historical stories about US dominance? Who were the victims? What are the politics of deciding who gets to be called a victim and not get called a victim? What are some of the legacies of the bombing in terms of representations and politics about kind of global nuclear powers and denuclearization, for example? And then now we also talk about the relationship between the bombing of Hiroshima and the nuclear disaster at Fukushima in 2011, right? So that's what I do. I know other people, like my colleague Luke Roberts, who's our early modern Japan historian, focuses on the Meiji Restoration. Other courses on commodity history, like lots of looking at basically small topics, and from those small topics, exploring all the different ways there are to do history. So I think you can really look forward to that class. We encourage you to take it as soon as possible because it is the foundation. And then you will learn all the basic skills you need in terms of like citations, primary and secondary sources, how to access library materials in a more advanced way, right? As well as historical thinking skills. What does it mean to think like a historian? And then that will situate you, put you in a really good position to succeed in your subsequent classes, and especially in your fourth year, in your third or fourth years, when you go into one of the Q or DR courses, which are like our research, more of a research seminar type capstone experience. Or if you join one of the honors thesis or senior thesis or honor thesis seminars in your senior year, right? So the idea is to prepare you early on so that you are ready to succeed on these big, like 20-page writing projects in your senior year. So that's History 9, and that's what we have you take early on. And then as you progress in the degree, you will have opportunities to take research seminars, and those are, Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are the ones with Q and DR endings.
So they either have a Q or an R.
A Q or an R, sorry, we changed the lettering at some point. Okay, so they have a Q or an R after them, and those are one quarter, so 10 weeks, and they're usually about either a particular theme or a particular time and place. And the faculty member running that seminar helps you construct your own research project, do research with primary materials, so materials from the time that you're looking at, and then put that all together, right? Analyze it and turn it into a compelling narrative about this particular time and place, and an argument about how we as historians should understand that moment. This is a lot to do in 10 weeks. So again, this is why we start practicing in History 9. But it's really fun, and when I've taught them, I mean, it's usually about, I think it's capped at maybe 18 students. When I've taught them, they've been some of the funnest courses I've ever done because of the amount of interaction I get to have with the students and how much time, I'm reading your drafts, I'm commenting. Most of us, we don't have like an ideal paper at the end. We have you where you are in your learning trajectory, and we are going to help you move to the next stage of historical thinking and writing. So that's also really exciting. I think you have to take one, but you are not limited to one, right? So you can take a couple. And those of you who are thinking of moving on to like professional graduate degrees, for example, this is a really, really good opportunity to do some serious thinking and writing with serious faculty involvement. So I think that was my ambit, History 9 and research seminars. So I will stop there and hand the microphone back to Corey.
Great, thank you, Kate. So next, Professor Deborah Blumenthal is going to talk about our honors thesis program, which she is teaching this year.
Yeah, greetings all. I'm so pleased to be here virtually as it is. But let me first introduce myself. As Corey mentioned, my name is Deborah Blumenthal. I'm a pre-modernist. Most of the courses I teach focus on the medieval or early modern period. I'm actually teaching History 9 this quarter in addition to the honors seminar. And so my take on History 9 is to focus on the Crusades, and we kind of approach it from different angles, just as Kate mentioned. And And so again, if it's a class that I've really enjoyed teaching, and it's something that I think is really helpful for students to really excel in upper division classes. So I cannot emphasize enough how useful it will be for you to take it early on rather than later, so that you really get the most out of the upper division classes, and that when you do take your art course or enroll in the honors seminar, you really hit the ground running. You kind of have an interest, you have an understanding of the different sorts of types of history you could opt for as your focus, and you also kind of have some experience reading primary sources in a really in-depth sort of way. But I'm supposed to be talking about the history honors seminar, which is something that most of you probably will perhaps be interested in applying really your junior year. It's a program that is really for the top-notch students in the major. It's a select group of seniors that are invited to apply, usually the spring of their junior, or I guess some students that want to graduate early can, if you have a certain number of courses already completed, you can apply if you're going to graduate early as a junior. But it's really an opportunity to work very closely with a faculty mentor. So the seminar itself is sort of like taught in, it's a 2-quarter honors seminar. Again, you have to apply to be admitted. Usually it's capped at around 16 students. So it's a really small, intimate group. You have to have at least a 3.5 GPA to qualify for application into the honors seminar. And before you can enroll, you also have to secure the support of a faculty mentor. So someone that you've taken courses with, that you really have a bond with, or want to have a bond with, and that's really an expert in the topic that you'd really like to focus on for your senior thesis, right? So it's a really wonderful opportunity because, as Kate was mentioning, the typical art course that most of our majors take is really limited at 10 weeks. And it is challenging to write a research paper in 10 weeks. But for the honors seminar, you get 2 quarters to work on this topic. And you really, this is a really original piece of research. Students produce 60 pages. It's a rigorous course. We also, you have an opportunity to apply for funding. We actually require you to learn how to write a grant, which again, if you're going on to grad school, is a very important skill to develop, how to get money to support your research. And so we give you tips about that, and you get some experience writing a grant proposal. Anyway, so the course is taught in this workshop format where you're kind of working with a group of peers, it's kind of a support group, because it's very difficult to produce a 60-page piece of original research. And so really the 2-quarter research seminar is really kind of a community where you're kind of working together, collectively discussing this process of researching and writing this original piece of scholarship. But that's only one part of it. The other part of it is that you're working really closely with this mentor, and it really gives you a unique experience to kind of talk one-on-one with a faculty mentor that's really going to guide you through the process and help you develop expertise in your specific topic. And the other thing that I think is really unique about the process is that at the end of it, we have typically an honors colloquium. And it really is a formal kind of conference where you give a formal presentation of your research, kind of like what you would do at a typical academic conference, a 20-minute presentation. And we also, again, we treat it very seriously. We will match you up with somebody that's going to comment, that is going to read your entire thesis. In addition to whoever's teaching the seminar, in addition to your faculty member, you're going to have an outside reader that is going to sit down and engage with your work and offer comments and offer feedback. I mean, this is just a really, unique experience that's really going to prepare you if you're interested in pursuing, an advanced degree in history, or even just going on to graduate school. So it's really a wonderful sort of ending of the experience. It really is a great capstone. And in addition, if you get the grant money, you also participate in a poster session at Core One Pavilion, which is near the USEN, and you're kind of sharing your research with the broader public. So it really is a unique experience that you, if this is something that you're really passionate about, I really encourage you to kind of keep that in mind as you're making your way through the major, and really take advantage of it, because it's really something that is, I think for the students that go through it, it's kind of the highlight of their history major kind of program. Anyway, I'll end there, but I encourage you to pursue that.
Yeah, and if you complete the program, you graduate with honors in the major. So you get a special distinction on your diploma, and you get special cords to wear at graduation. So yeah, it is a really great program. Okay, so next we have Professor Randy Bergstrom, who is going to talk about the history of public policy and law major.
And who will unmute to do that. Greetings, one and all. We have a special major within the department, the history of public policy and law. It is the only one of its kind in the country, and you will not be surprised to know that it allows you to focus all of your historical interest, no, not all of your historical interest, because you'll train broadly, but to focus a portion of your historical coursework and research at the end on law or public policy. It's an interdisciplinary major. It includes requiring you to take some classes outside the major, just a few. It has core courses that invite professors, many across the top of this page, to come in and talk about their specialty and an aspect of policy within that. History 5 or History 7. I believe History 5 is offered this year. It may already be full, or it may not be until winter quarter. But each year, one of those two is offered. It's a great way to meet 5 to 10 history professors talking about history of public policy, and it introduces you to thinking historically about public policy. That is, if public policy and law don't end this year, 2020. That was a joke, and I will identify if I'm trying to be funny throughout this. So the courses lead by your senior year to the option of doing research, as both Deborah and Kate have talked about. You may be invited to the honors thesis, but the honors seminar. There is also a history of public policy thesis option. And in the past 3 or 4 years, each year, around 15 people have undertaken a history of public policy thesis. And in addition to all of the wonderful things that Kate and Deborah have mentioned about research, this really credentials you as a person who can work with primary sources, compose and analyze those into an argument, and produce something that future employers or graduate schools find very impressive. Another thing about this major, and with the history major generally, is it really coincides and syncs up well with the UCDC program. That is the Washington Center, where you can go for a quarter once the remote viral season passes, and study there and incorporate the courses and the internship work you do there into your major. There's also a UC Sacramento Center, where our students have worked with the governor's office, with legislators, with advocacy groups, and gone on to really interesting graduate work and careers in the field. And education abroad. EAP, the courses you take there can integrate very easily into the history of public policy and law major. If you have more questions about any of that, I'll be glad to answer them. I am one of the advisors to the major. I will have office hours this quarter, Zoom-like, on Thursday afternoons, 3 to 5. That is probably all that I need to say about that. Just know that there is such a major. You're cordially invited to come and just talk about your interests and see if it's a major that fits.
Yeah, and if maybe you're just in the regular history major right now, but you want to learn more about the history of public policy and law requirements, I'm definitely always available to talk about that. They have a lot of overlap. So, you know, if you've taken some courses towards the history major, it's likely that they will also apply towards the other major. So feel free to reach out if you want to learn more. Okay, next we have Nipun Kundu, who is our history club president, and he's going to talk about the history club.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see your names. So I'm going to talk about the history club that we have at UCSB. So I kind of wrote down a speech. I'm just going to pull that up real quick. Here we go. So the history club is a place for like-minded individuals with an interest in history. Don't worry, we're not the type of people who judge you on the type of history you relish in. This truly is a place for history geeks or someone interested in making friends and learning more about the different areas of history that all of our members are interested in. We were re-established 2 years ago by our previous president, Veronica Andrade, and we have worked hard to become an award-winning club with strong relationships with the professors and staff of the history department. This club honestly has miles of potential for getting better and having more fun along the way. The thing with this club that is different is that it has a strong sense of looking out for its members. We host events that are meant for helping our members to thrive at UCSB and in the professional world. Let us take the idea of approachability, as it is hard to meet, and we all were once scared of being the student with a dumb question during office hours. Therefore, to counter the anxiety of meeting with a professor who has like a PhD, we created a popular lecture series event called the Fireside Chats, in homage to the Fireside Chats of FDR during the Great Depression. This is our way to help students and members to see their professors in a different and more personal light. This has helped many of our members to literally get their foot in the door of their professors, especially first years who already have a lot going on. The same applies to transfer students. I am one of those. You may have left behind the comfort of a mentor and already kind of know how hard it is to find another. So this way you can speak to professors who really tell you what path they are on or will be pursuing next. Apart from this, many of our members are not history majors. I was a sociology major when I joined, and now I'm the president of this wonderful club. We have members ranging from bio to stats to philosophy majors, and we will embrace you all with open arms virtually for now. There is also a spring trip we fundraised for and worked really hard to plan, but we live in coronavirus times, therefore this may not happen. We have a solid itinerary looking forward. We were planning to go to Channel Islands or maybe the Hearst Castle or even the Getty Villa, but like I said. One more thing that we do have is our study jams, near finals and midterms, which are especially helpful to our members who have classes together. And since many of us have had such a wide range of classes, we can always help each other out, not just in history, but in many other disciplines. I got you with sociology if you need help. We also have events such as Halloween and holidays where we do things like pumpkin painting and History Valentine, where we kind of just had a fun day and kind of had like a secret Valentine stuff going on. Finally, I would like to welcome you all to the UCSB family. I really hope that you come back, check us out. We meet weekly over Zoom, Thursdays at 7 p.m. PST. For more information, you can follow us on Shoreline, Facebook, and Instagram under History Club at UCSB. Make sure you put a space between the ad and the UCSB. If you haven't already, or keep an eye out for occasional emails forwarded by Corey. Once again, this is a club like a family. We have fun debates, icebreakers, and game nights that lead to fruitful conversations about all kinds of topics and create new friendships. We have a fun game night coming up for our first meeting on October 8th. So I look forward to meeting you guys there. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I really just want to echo how great History Club is. Like Nipun said, they kind of resurrected themselves like 2 years ago and just became this like huge, like awesome club. And they have so many events and so many members, and it's really great. So definitely check them out. All right, so lastly, we have Professor Jarrett Henderson, who is going to talk about the new undergraduate journal that he started, and he's also going to talk a little bit about remote learning and teaching.
All right, hello everyone. So as Corey said, my name is Jarrett. This is my third year at UCSB and my 35th first day of school. So this is all sort of repeating itself annually now. I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk first about sort of what you can expect on Zoom classes and some things that you can do to help make your Zoom classes even better. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the new history journal that we've created, which will give you opportunities to publish some of the work that you're doing in some of the classes that Randy and Kate and Deborah talked about. So it's sort of putting this all together as you sort of move forward through your career at UCSB. If you have not been able to figure this out right now, I have an accent. I'm from Canada. I am a 19th century Canadian and British imperial historian. I'm interested in questions about gender, race, and sexuality and how they combine around questions of colonial rule. I teach a variety of undergraduate classes. I'm currently this semester, I'm teaching a course on the history of the British Empire. I'm teaching a course about the history journal, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I also teach undergraduate courses on history of sexuality, and I also teach the giant world history class that, if we ever are allowed back into campus, will be in IV Theater. So probably near where many of you walk by on your way home or to coffee or something along those lines. So as I said, I'm going to talk about two things. So the first thing, let's talk a little bit about remote learning. This is new to all of us. This is not something that we had all signed up for. So if you are a little anxious about remote learning, give me a clap of your hands, because this is something that we're all kind of hesitant about. So there we go, Anna's here, yay. Awesome, thank you, good. So I think one of the reasons I wanted to do this is to demonstrate that both the black squares on the screen and most of the squares where you can see people's faces are a little bit anxious about how this will go, right? So we are sort of in this collectively as we move forward. And I'm going to give you 5 pieces of advice. The first thing, and most of us have joked about this already, but those black squares on your screen, if you can, turn on your cameras. We have seen you in your pajamas before at 8:30 in large lecture classes, so this is not going to be shocking to us. If you don't want to share your home space with us, Zoom allows you to change your background to something that you want. And if you just cannot, because of wireless connections or cell phone connections or anything like that, turn your background to a photo of yourself just so we have something to look at. So we're not sort of like staring into this abyss as we're sort of moving forward. So if you can, it's always helpful to do that. The second thing that I'm going to say is treat this like any other class that you have taken either at UCSB before, or if you're a transfer student at one of the community colleges that you've come from. And what I mean by that is try and keep yourself to a schedule. In spring quarter, when I taught for the first time ever on Zoom, my students in one of the research courses that Kate was talking about were like, I did not realize how much going to the library organized my life. So find a way around which you can sort of put together a structure that sort of helps you move forward. You will not be able to watch hours and hours of lecture at the end of quarter, right? So don't do it, right? Sort of like follow along in the way in which you would normally follow along with your coursework. The other thing that I would say is participate. And you know this from other classes that you have taken. But when someone asks you to clap along with what you're doing, or if you don't understand, or if you understand, to engage in that way. So that sort of participation is important. It will make you a better learner, and it will make your class better for everyone else as we move forward. If you are stumped by anything, right? If you are stumped by anything, ask someone who is a square away from you. You can send them a message on chat, ask your professor, ask someone for help, right? We all want you to do well, but we don't know how you're doing. Unlike in a real class where you're sitting in front of us, it's hard for us to gauge people's responses and reactions and comprehension to things when you're doing remote learning. So if you do need assistance, we need you to tell us, because otherwise we really can't provide that assistance and that help for you. So that is important. The other thing that I would say is go to your professor's office hours. I've started to call them student Zoom hours to remind them that they are actually about you. So sometimes you can come and talk about help that you actually need. Sometimes just come and tell me what terrible TV show you are watching. One of the things that I learned from spring quarter is that so many of us are just sort of craving some form of attention and some sort of contact with another human being, that all they want to do, all the students want to do, is just come and talk at me and tell me about things, or just sort of share what they are up to, right? And so I think that we're all kind of in that boat. So keep those opportunities to engage outside of class open as well. And the last thing about remote learning that I'm going to say is just be patient. Right? It takes more time to put you into breakout rooms on Zoom. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Right? So just be patient with this whole process. Everything takes longer when you're doing it on Zoom. So those are sort of some of my sort of like helpful hints about sort of like how to make it through this quarter collectively. So if that's a little bit about remote learning, the last thing that I want to talk about, I want to open my screen so I can share this with you, copy, paste. So in the chat right now, I have just posted a link to the new UCSB Undergraduate History Journal. And so what this is this is a new initiative that the History Department has started, and how it will work as follows. It's a little complicated, as Corey and Erica and I figured out when we tried to put this all together, but I think we've figured it out. So students enroll, it doesn't matter what year you are in, usually you will be a third or fourth year student to enroll in this course, and you have to enroll in 2 collective quarters. So you have to take the course back to back in order to get your full credit for it. So the course is designed to introduce undergraduate students into what we could sort of think about how historians actually make history. So we assign things for you to read in your classes. This is the process, the behind the scenes, if you want to sort of think about it as sort of how that stuff becomes what you read in classes. And it is stuff that other undergraduate students have done the research for and have written. And now we're giving them the opportunity to share that work with others by publishing it. So the class has 15 students a quarter. Students will enroll, and how it works is that we, over the summer, put out a call for papers. So if you ever wrote an essay in a history class, you would have submitted that paper for us to consider for publication. This was the first year that we did it, and we had 27 applications, which I thought was pretty awesome. So that made my day. And now, once quarter starts on Thursday, the students in that class will begin the process of editing those papers, of finding other people who are experts in that area of history to serve as reviewers, meaning someone will read it and assess it and provide opportunities for feedback to how to make it better. Then those students will communicate with the person who submitted the paper, say, reviewer 1 said that you should make this change, reviewer 2 said this, reviewer 3 is just angry, right? So they're going to provide you with sort of opportunities to sort of make your paper better. You make those changes, you submit them back, and then fingers crossed, in January of 2021, we have our first issue of the new UCSB History Journal for everyone to read. The journal itself will be hosted online, so it will be open access, available to anyone who has the skills to use the internet. So that's a plus. In addition to the sort of nitty-gritty of publishing and doing publishing historical research, as we move forward, we're going to try and do a series of sort of like regular blog posts. We might be optimistic and try and start some sort of question and answer kind of podcast. We're going to sort of amp up as we go, but our first initial efforts here are to sort of just get this thing operational and provide opportunities for undergraduates to sort of see other things that they could do with their history degrees other than be a Zoom historian. That's all that I want to say. I have one more thing. I will say join the history club. I have done the fireside chat and it's awesome. Being from Canada, they asked me if tacos were as big of a thing in Canada as they were in California. And I actually had to stop and think about it because I don't ever remember going out for tacos in Canada, but here Taco Tuesday is the new holiday in our household. So it's a very sort of thinking about some of these sort of cultural differences coming as an immigrant to a new place has also sort of been really eye-opening. But the History Club is awesome. Do what you can, participate when you can, take advantage of all of the things that the history department is providing for you. It will make your time here all that much better. And I'm going to mute myself, so I'm over.
Great, thank you. Well, that was all of our speakers. If anyone has any questions before we go, shout them out or put them in the chat and we will answer them.
I had a question about the research seminar thing. Mm-hmm. Is that I'm a transfer, so is that recommended to take in senior year or because I remember you said not to take it your first quarter. But,
so do you mean the honors thesis or just the R course? The
R course. The R course.
Yeah, so you can take it in your third or fourth year. Like Kate and Deborah were saying, it is ideal if you take History 9 first, because that's really going to prepare you and set you up. So once you take History 9, then you can feel free to take the research seminar.
Okay, I need to get that one and try and get it next quarter. So
yeah, and History 9 is offered every quarter, and some quarters we offer 2 sections of it. So I think in winter quarter we're offering 2 30-person classes of it. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. It does fill up super quick, so just try to add it during your first pass time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Are there any department events coming up? Somebody asked that. Yeah, History Club. Erica said we have a few talks. We will also be having a presentation from the Education Abroad program at the beginning of the quarter. It'll be sometime in October, and I'll be sure to send out more information about that. Okay, let's see. This is a question for Jarrett. What are the requirements and application process for the class that edits the Undergraduate Research Journal?
Thanks for the question, Charles. So it's actually a good question. So the way that it currently has worked is that there are currently 12 students in the class, and those 12 students will have to enroll in winter quarter as well. So that means I have a wait list of students to become the additional 4 students in winter quarter. Maybe all the 12 will not decide after spending 10 weeks with me that they want to spend another 10 weeks with me, and that is okay. So there might be additional spaces in winter quarter. The thing that I would say is that there's going to be a lot more spaces in spring quarter because I don't think people will continue to take it for 3 quarters in a row. You can take it, Corey, I think for 4 in a row, but you can, and also get credit towards the major for doing it. But there's not, an official application process. You have to get an ad code from the instructor which at this particular moment in time is me, which is how all of the upper division R courses kind of work. So if you are interested in pursuing this, I'm happy to add you to the list for either winter quarter or spring quarter. And then the only thing that you would have to remember is that you would have to take it back to back collectively. So you'd have to plan, if you're going to take it in spring, to also then take it in fall. So the summer gap makes it a little bit more complicated. But otherwise, that's as best as I can tell you that for right now. It doesn't matter what year you're in. Usually it would be like someone who is in third year or fourth year to do it, but you just need to make sure that you have the collective, be able to take it in consecutive quarters. That's the word I was trying to remember. But otherwise, you just have to be a history student in sort of upper division standing, I guess would be the proper UCSB language.
Jacqueline asks, is it too late to submit written pieces to the journal?
I won't bother muting myself. So it's too late for round one, but we will have another call for papers coming out later in fall quarter for next summer. Right? So we have put out a call for the past, I guess, since spring for about 4 months. I received the first batch of papers, but like other journals, we're going to keep publishing this regularly. So there will be a second call for papers that comes out. I'm going to say late November, early December, when the submission deadline for that will be probably early spring quarter. So keep watch of that. So if you are already in an R course or thinking or in the honors class, this will also be an opportunity for you to sort of then have that research published as you go forward. So too late for first deadline, but there will be more. So don't fret about that, which has apparently become my new word.
Awesome. Any more questions before we end? Erica, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so I remembered one thing that I forgot, but also this discussion of the journal reminded me. We have a brand new history newsletter as well that we just started work. We put out one issue, I think, no, 2 issues so far, and we'll have another issue coming in a couple of weeks. And it's another place, one of the sections of the newsletter is going to highlight undergraduate accomplishments, work, etc. And the last issue, we had a student who took a class with me on food and world history, and part of that assignment, she ended up doing a kind of food writing, and she's making it her career. So she wrote a kind of blog post for our newsletter. And so if you guys have something that you want to share that doesn't really fit kind of academic journal, but you want to share that, maybe write a post, you can get in touch with me because we'll be starting to do that. But the other appeal I have for you is we asked faculty and grad students to come up with a name for the journal, and their names were horrible. We can't use them. So if you have an idea for a kind of good name for a history newsletter. So right now we just call it newsletter. So we're looking for a name. So you can email Corey or myself if you have any ideas. I mean, I won't even share with you the terrible ones that were submitted. So this is, but it's an example. And I think the journal and the history club are all examples of, we really consider our students part of the department and part of the learning that we do. And so through things like participating in the journal or the newsletter, or even, you know, all these other events, history club, get that opportunity to do that. So yeah, keep bugging me if you have ideas of other ways that you want to get involved, or other, you know, ideas, even for classes. You can always contact me and I can sort of see if I can make that happen. So, but also I just really want to thank you all for your interest in history, and I hope you all become majors or at least minors. Okay,
yeah.
Back to Corey.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to close. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you're all excited to start your first day of classes on Thursday, and good luck to you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.